Inside Pages is live here on Metro Television. My name is AKUFO-ADDO Moro. It's always a pleasure coming your way. It's a beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning, as I always indicate when I come here. And I want to say a big thanks to those of you who wake up in the morning and you tune into Metro TV at 8 a.m. because you want to listen to wisdom, because you want to listen to insightful conversations, you want to listen to brilliant, cogent analysis of the issues that have made the news in the course of the week. So today, I'm sure your guess is as good as mine. You called for it, the president has done it. You say you want the president to reshuffle his ministers. The president has done it. President AKUFO-ADDO has undertaken what arguably would be termed as one of the most sweeping changes in his government ahead of election 2024. But then Inside Pages is going to be asking what really is going to be the impact of this reshuffle and why now? So those are the fundamental questions that we'll be seeking answers to when our resource persons join us today. So I'll take a break. When I come back, I'll tell you who has moved where and some of the interesting observations we've also made. And then also I'll introduce my resource persons and, importantly, the WhatsApp line as well for those of you who want to contribute by way of opinions and views to the vexed issues. I'll be right back. All right, so welcome back. This is Inside Pages. Thank you very much for joining us. Inside Pages comes your way on Saturdays from 8 to 10. My name is AKUFO-ADDO Moro. Here on Inside Pages, what we do is that we flip through the pages of the newspapers and we come up with the topics that we believe you would love to hear or would love to listen. And this morning, we're looking at the controversial matter of the president's decision to reshuffle his ministers after the incessant complaints and talk and the call for him to do so. Remember, in 2021, there was actually a group of 89 ministers from the ruling government, in fact, 89 MPs from the majority side, headed by Santiachim North, a member of parliament, and Diapiakubi, who had actually asked the president to reshuffle. In fact, in their case, they wanted the finance minister sacked and also some of the ministers reshuffled. We've also heard from the general secretary of the party. We also one time heard from the general secretary of the party when he was made the general secretary, who said some legs are tied, they ought to be changed. And then subsequently, we also heard the general secretary at some point repeat that call on the president that he must reshuffle his ministers because some of the people are tired. In fact, he went ahead to say that there are some of you who are tired, who are contributing zilch, you're contributing nothing. It is in your interest to leave so that those who are interested in helping another succeed stay and do just that. Could it be that the president is heard to the cries of persons who are asking him to do so, or it is the case that the president had already premeditated? In fact, it's just part of the president's plan to engage in this reshuffle. And if that's the case, why now? Okay, and this one, what kind of impact is it going to make? Again, is there a political strategy to this reshuffle, and so on and so forth? So these are the questions I will be seeking to answer on Inside Pages today. But for now, let's watch this video clip. When we're done with the video clip, I'll also walk you through the ministers who have been shifted, who is coming in, who is going out, and who is not even coming in at all. You know, he's going and not coming in at all. We'll walk you through all of that, and then I'll introduce my resource persons, and then the conversation will start. Stay tuned in.
Speaking on Metro News, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otri said that making good reshuffle decisions and replacing ministers should be entirely different. He made reference to Finance Minister Designate Mohammed Amin Adam being a part of the Economic Management Committee that spearheaded the current economic mess. As such, making him in charge of the Ministry of Finance makes no change.
Why would you have the very person who is part of the team that has virtually created the mess that we find ourselves to go and head the finance ministry? is it Dr. Adam or something of that sort? So if you are taking away the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, I think that the president ought to have done us a favor of bringing in someone who is entirely different, but of course from the same, political stock, whichever way that the president deems fit. But the president lost that opportunity by bringing in someone who is part of the team, part of the very mess that all of us have been complaining about. So therefore, what kind of change is that? What kind of reshuffle is that?
Dr. Asante-Ochi also stated that to do reshuffling, theoretical and conceptual frameworks, being it politics, governance, or economic, are to be looked at for the reshuffling to make a good impact.
The euphoria surrounding reshuffling, the president has really lost the plot. After all, he's the same person who told us that if he does reshuffling, his government is going to collapse. So I don't even know what has influenced this. Is this a matter of some kind of emotions or some kind of, governance policy? Because to do reshuffling, you must have a theoretical or a conceptual framework. What framework is the president operating, with? What standard? Is it governance? Is it just politics? Is it just the economics? Is it just financial?
In a statement issued on Wednesday, February 14, 2024, President AKUFO-ADDO announced major changes to his ministerial team after several calls for a shake-up. As part of the reshuffle, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been replaced by the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Mohammed Amin Adam. Ofori-Atta has been the Finance Minister of Ghana since 2017. While some Ghanaians have criticized him for poor performance, others have described him as the man behind Ghana's deteriorating economy. Although many people expect a significant improvement in the economy after Ken Ofori-Atta's removal, an economist, Professor John Gachi, believes the reshuffle is an election strategy by the current administration.
When you come to policy and the program of implementation, the program and policy will not change because that is the view of the president and that is the view of the presidency. So it will not have any effect. Remind you, we have already passed the budget, so you are not supposed to implement what is done in the budget per the give-me system that we operate. So those people who are coming, they are barely coming to occupy a position and perhaps execute the agenda of the government in line with the election strategy that they have.
Mohammed Amin Adam previously served as Deputy Minister of Energy before his appointment as Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. Per the statement issued from the Office of the President, he will replace Ken Ofori-Atta as the Finance Minister with immediate effect.
President Nana Addo Dankwa AKUFO-ADDO has made significant changes to his ministerial team in a major cabinet reshuffle, finally responding to numerous calls for the restructuring. The shake-up ousted the controversial Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, who has faced criticism from his party's members of parliament in a letter from the Office of the President. This comprehensive reshuffle aims to improve the party's stance leading up to the 2024 general election. Speaking on Good Morning Ghana, government spokesperson Eric Amwakuchum believes the reshuffle is in the right direction and will aid government in effectively managing the day-to-day affairs of the state.
It's too early in the day to try and do an evaluation, but within a few months, you can tell some of these are going to be visible, tangible things that you can feel and touch and say, okay, this person went to the Ministry of Health, they had this perennial challenge over the period, he's been able to fix it, or he's found a new antidote to some of these challenges. Then the same conversation around finance, the same conversation around other areas that are being speculated. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I have confidence that some level of due diligence have been done. The president knows exactly what he wants to do, how he wants to govern this country in the last 9 months or so.
Managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr., who also appeared on the show, says it is a late call and would not yield the desired results.
I agree fully with former Chairman Wasma Oblay that this reshuffle is too late. I mean, we have 10 months to an election and 10 months to the possibility of of a change in government.
In fact, 9 months to an election.
Yeah, and 10 months to the possibility of a change in government. These reshuffles cannot do much, you know. And before the newly appointed ministers even get to know the terrain within which they'll be operating, 6 months will be passed. You understand? We are not so sure how long vetting is going to take, and so on. It can drag.
You know, the real people who should be reshuffled is President AKUFO-ADDO and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the vice president. They are the ones who should be reshuffled. When it was obvious that the changes were important to redeem what was left of this very disgraceful government, President AKUFO-ADDO refused. He even came out publicly to say nobody was going to push him. But it was very critical at the time. I mean, can you imagine at the time when we were in crisis, the coronavirus era, the Minister for Health had gone through the scandalous purchase of vaccines. And it was very obvious that he had to go. The president refused. The Minister of Finance, after driving this country into debts, unprecedented debts, after making sure that a lot of conflict of interest activities by this minister was obviously clear to everybody, the president refused, to the extent that he went beyond the minority's call for his removal. His own government, majority members of parliament, had a press conference. And somehow, we even had an attempt for them to be silenced with bribe. No investigation went on. I mean, this is unimaginable. And we are saying that this 9 months, given the times we are in, they are not going to make any impact. So it doesn't make any difference. So the president had a real missed opportunity with the changes that were required when the people of Ghana demanded it. And so it's very sad, it's very unfortunate, but it is not going to change, one, the reputation of this government. It is not going to change the burden that the people of Ghana are carrying. It is not going to really change the dent of the hardship and the depth we have found ourselves in. And so it's a slap in our faces as Ghanaians.
Shuffling of cabinet should not be a campaign message for the minority. They should be telling Mr. John Mahama, His Excellency John Mahama, to give us alternative policy that if he's given the mandate, he would implement. That is what we want to see. Detailed. Not, at the spur of the moment, and then he comes and issue one statement, and then praying that the government will fall on its own sword. No. Let him who is seeking the higher office offer better alternatives, because we've seen all he wanted to do. Deputy minister, flag bearer, vice president, president. What more has he got to offer? And for me, it is because they have nothing to offer. So then, a president reshuffles his cabinet, and it becomes a campaign message for them. It's most unfortunate. Well, as for the impact, we have our strategies as a government. And I'll speak to you as a government whip. We have our strategies. Whether it will have an impact or not, we are looking at winning this year's election. And whatever credible means and whatever credible alternatives that we find in the scheme of things will help us, that we will employ. So I don't want us to zero in on individuals. These are the whole lot on absolute amendment done to cabinet. Why would you want to fish out names and say this person, this person? No. The president in his wisdom, and I agree perfectly with the president, that we need these changes to move forward and also to bolster and bring in new fresh legs and fresh energies for us to win the next election. We have to win this election as a civil responsibility and to put the country with a hindsight benefit to move this country forward.
I think the reshuffling has come at the wrong time, because if you look at how the economy has been managed, and as at the time the economy was in a mess and we are calling for a reshuffling and the president didn't listen to us, it's like we've been taken for granted. We are the employers, we the citizens of Ghana, which the constitution has clearly stated that the sovereign power of Ghana lies in the people of Ghana. We have employed the government and they are working for us, but they have not listened to us and have refused to listen to the few things we have complained about to do a reshuffling, and they didn't do it at the right time. So at this juncture where they have barely 10 months to be booted out of government and they've now done the reshuffling, I think it wouldn't make any impact with regards to where we've got into as a country, and we've gone to the IMF 17th time, and what policies are the new people who are coming.
I think it really doesn't matter. The harm has already been caused. I've not really had or seen Ghana in this state. I mean, we've seen, government on government, and we've seen what they have done. AKUFO did some reshuffling, Mama did the same. There were a couple of reshuffles, with time. From what Nana Addo has done, you could clearly see that he probably didn't really want to do that, but it's more like a last resort to just satisfy Ghanaians.
It's long overdue. This ministerial reshuffle could have happened long ago. And I was expecting Nana to do that at his second term. At his second term coming. I don't see anything new that these people are going to bring, because Ken has done what he wanted to do. And everything like the taxes, everything that they wanted to do, budget has been read already. So I don't think that this new minister is going to change anything else. It's just coming to do implementation.
Now, the insistence on maintaining a government apparatus comprising so many ministers is not only a slap in the face of the Ghanaian taxpayer, but is testament to an entrenched culture of profligacy, cronyism, and a disturbing myopic view of governance. This unwieldy government size, under the guise of facilitating development, has instead catalyzed an era marked by inefficiency and unfulfilled promises. Enter Dr. Bawumia, the vice president, and the freshly minted flag bearer of the NPP, who now promises a government of only 50 ministers. This pledge starkly contrasts the current administration's excesses and rings hollow in the face of his long-standing defense of this government bloat. Dr. Bawumia's sudden pivot amidst the economic turmoil our nation endures is emblematic of a desperate ploy for votes, a deception that the Ghanaian people can see through with clarity. Today's reshuffle by President AKUFO-ADDO, rather than offering a beacon of hope for a leaner, more efficient government, has instead upheld the status quo. It is a profound disappointment and a missed opportunity to heed the people's call for change. This action, or rather inaction, underscores a blatant disregard for the nation's plea for governance that puts the people's welfare above political expediency. It is particularly disheartening.
All right, so those were some of the reactions that greeted the reshuffling of ministers by the President, His Excellency Nana Addo AKUFO-ADDO. But notable amongst the reshuffling, was quite a number, more than 10. But I think notable amongst the persons who have been reshuffled is the Finance Minister, who is no more there. He's been replaced by Dr. Amin Adam, who is the used to be the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. He's now been made a substantive minister. He used to be the Deputy Energy Minister as well. So as you can tell, Dr. Mohammed Adam Amin Anta, his coming in, Ken Ofori-Atta is going out. And then also Information Ministry. Yes, Kojo Opon Nkrumah is leaving that ministry. He's going to be in charge. He's going to be supervising the Works and Housing Ministry. His deputy, Fatima Abubakar, is now coming in. And Kojo himself is taking over from Francis Asenso Boache, who is now going to the Roads and Highways Ministry. So those are some of the notable shifts or movements that have taken place. There's quite a number of them, but because of time, these are the ones that we'd like to bring to your attention before we even start with our conversations for this morning. And we'll be, as I did indicate, introducing my resource person shortly. So I have on my immediate left, in fact, I have on my left the former Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Mr. Kojo Chumbwafo. Is a leader member, or is a stalwart within the opposition NDC, or in the opposition NDC. He's made time off his very busy schedule to join us this morning, and for which we're very grateful. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages, sir. And then also on my immediate right is Mr. Joe Jackson. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Dalex Finance. But we all know that apart from issues of finance and, economy, he's a social commentator, somebody who's very passionate about Ghana. He tells us all the time. And so I want to say thanks for joining us as well, Mr. Joe Jackson.
Moro, good to be on your show.
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Very much alive, very much optimistic.
Right, about the future.
About the future.
Absolutely. That's extremely important. And Mr. Kofi Tonto. Kofi Tonto is one of the, I've said it time and again, I think he's one of the brilliant spokespersons for this government. Mr. Kofi Tonto, I'm not surprised he's here. Mr. Kofi Tonto, good morning. It's good to see you.
Yeah, very good morning to you and to see the boss.
Your seniors.
I've seen him on TV, etc., but we've never met.
Oh, okay, in person.
This is our first time.
Yeah. So,
how was it going to Chumba? Have you met him in person?
No, but Kojo and I, we go back.
What was your immediate reaction when you heard the president had done a reshuffle? I mean, would you say, thank God, finally, he's done a reshuffle? Or what was going through your mind? I see. No reaction? You couldn't care less? Oh, sorry, your microphone. I'm probably, yes. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't have any reaction to it because this president doesn't mean well.
How so?
For this country. I mean, well.
No, we called for a reshuffle. He's done it.
You didn't call for a reshuffle.
Okay.
He did the reshuffle for political expediency.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about it.
Because Bawumia demanded it, has been demanding it for a while now. Let's not forget the slight. Let's not forget what the majority MPs did.
Yes, the 89 MPs.
Demanded over a year ago that Ken Ofori-Atta be replaced.
Right.
And if the president was in tune with the feelings of the people of this country, he would have sacked Ken Ofori-Atta a long time ago.
But he sacked him.
No, hold on. He hasn't sacked him. Right now, he has actually made him the Minister for Money Laundering. Look at his new portfolio. Do you honestly believe that Amin Adam can do anything without consulting Ken Ofori-Atta? You see, let's not pretend. There's too much pretense has gone on in this country. And it is the pretense that has put us where we are. You understand? The pretense that AKUFO-ADDO and his gang can do anything for us in this country, going back 8 years ago, when most people knew that he had a record in government during the AKUFO administration, right? And all the band of brigands and buccaneers that he brought into government, right, is what has put us where we are. So as we sit, some of us have lost our pensions. Some of us have lost money that we put in the bank. The economy is at a complete standstill. I mean, never mind what figures anybody throws at you. Go and look at the size of 5 CD Kenke. Go and look at the size of 2 CDs Bofloat. And then come back and tell me that, what are you saying now? Inflation has decreased. All that crap and nonsense. Absolute crap and nonsense. Okay? While some people, right, simply enjoy. Look, some of the things that we were told by the president is that he will never come and do friends and family. Remember that?
Right.
What excuse did W. Daku give us? That his grandfather had 100 children. So, it's okay to do friends and family. Right? Which president in the history of this country had 5 of his first cousins in cabinet? I'm not even talking about other friends. Which president in the history of this country was given ambassadorial appointment to his baby mamas? Who did that? Name one. But there is a pretense in this country, right? Or there has been a pretense until of recent, when things have really gone south, and AKUFO-ADDO could do it. But the worst part of what has gone on is that instead of this government just riding into the sunset and accounting for what they have done, they now want a third term for AKUFO-ADDO by bringing in Dr. Bawumia.
But Dr. Bawumia, through that speech, has demonstrated that he wants to be his own man.
Dr. Bawumia is telling us, Moro,
yes,
that he is disavowing 8 years
yes,
of a government in which he was the number 2 man.
Yes.
How does that even begin to make sense to you?
He's not the president.
Dr. Baumia is telling us that he doesn't like e-levy among a raft of taxes that was instituted upon us, right? But Dr. Baumia was in this country when the government spent taxpayers' money to hire a private jet to bring Adjo Asafo to come and vote for e-levy. When Adjo Asafo came into this country, she refused to go to parliament. So when this country, when they put a scarecrow in parliament and covered her face in order to get a vote, we were in this country when they wheeled an MP who had had a stroke into the forecourt of parliament to vote for e-levy. Where was Dr. Baumia then? What was he doing? Was he drunk?
But Kojo, once it was a collective decision, what else do you expect the vice president to do?
Collective decision.
It's a
We have
decision.
had a history in this country where a vice president has walked out of government. Am I lying?
Wouldn't have been politically.
Wouldn't
Wouldn't that have been politically suicidal for somebody who sees himself as potentially the leader
But
of the
it would
party?
have been morally commendable, like Aka did. So the history of this country sits there for all those who want to follow it. Dr. Baumia, I like what you are talking about when it comes to political expediency. You remember that Dr. Baumia told us that we're going to get $1 million per constituency. Where's the money? Do you remember that he then came back and told us that the money was in Accra, so if you don't come and collect it, it will be stolen? Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Remember Dr. Baumia told us that if your economy is weak, the currency exchange rate will expose you.
Absolutely.
And then when the currency exchange rate started exposing him, he said, what I said then was true, but right now, it doesn't mean that the reverse is also true.
So he said it's warped logic to think the fact that the currency
doesn't make sense to you.
Means that, you know, the
does it begin? You see Ken is laughing. Does it even begin to make sense to you? Does it make sense to you? At one point in time, you see, Dr. Baumia doesn't believe in anything. At one point in time, he was called Timothy. At one point in time, he was a boys' brigade. Now he's called Mahamadou. God knows, Dr. Baumia is the archetypal example of a person who should never lead any country because he doesn't believe in anything. At least AKUFO-ADDO believes in grafting generational wealth and creating a kleptocracy for his family. Dr. Baumia doesn't believe anything. He believes absolutely nothing. When you are hungry, Dr. Baumia tells you, I've built a toilet. I've digitalized everything. So when you are hungry and you haven't eaten, he has built you a toilet. So when you take your phone and you type the hashtag of the toilet, it will tell you if you have eaten, press 1. If you have not eaten, press 2. If you have eaten all of the above, press 3. Right? I mean, look, it is despicable what those people have done to people in this country. We are in a country where a former chief justice that they appointed went to the Ministry of Finance to pick it for her pension. What does that strike you as? It's not Jerry Rawlings, it's not John Mahama, it is not Atta Mills who appointed Sophia Akufo as the chief justice of this country. It was AKUFO-ADDO. Indeed, she was the immediate past chief justice. She took her chair and went, and not only did they not have respect for who she was, they insulted her. And she shot back by calling them whippersnappers. In Key, you know what a whippersnapper is? Right? They called them whippersnappers. Because they are indeed whippersnappers. Who have only come to enrich themselves, line their pockets, sell our property, so that they can have the generational wealth. Look, Moro, you have been around for a very long time, right? And you and I have been friends for almost 20 years, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
When these people came into power, how much was a gallon of fuel? A gallon of petrol? What is it now? They called something nuisance taxes. What is more of a nuisance tax than a tax on habitation? If you know of anything that is worse than taxing habitation, you can tell me. That's how low they have sunk. Right? You tax habitation. Before you came into power, you said the NDC was instituting nuisance taxes. ESLA was a nuisance. As soon as you got into power, you collateralized ESLA, and now we are indebted until 2035. Right? So, in effect, when you pay the taxes that go towards ESLA, it goes into a black hole because they have collected the money and blown it. Blown it on things like consultancy fees for Japan. The Auditor General's report, as we speak, as I didn't say it, their own Auditor General said that we gave $12 million for the consultancy of Japan. Moro, yesterday night, a communique came up that they have put out, they have allocated 150 million Ghana cedis to fix potholes in the whole of Ghana. Do you know that 150 million cedis is less than $12 million?
Right.
So you gave more money for something as ludicrous as a Japan than you are giving to fix potholes. There are 16 regions in this country. Whilst I'm not saying that the same amount of money will be allocated to each region for obvious reason, it averages out at $750,000 per region for potholes. Between here and Circle, between here, this office and Circle, 750,000 extra potholes. I'm an engineer. I've been an engineer for 30 years. Maybe 31. Maybe I don't even remember when I graduated, but 31. Graduated in 1993, so that's 31, right?
Right, 31 years. Yeah.
So I can tell you for free that $750,000 and support holes between here and Circle.
It's a drop in the ocean?
It's not even a drop in the ocean. It's nothing happened. Right? What is going to happen is that they are going to give it to their apparatchiks to steal. Nothing will happen. They will give it to people. They will give it to people in the form of mobilization. We'll give you a contract, mobilization. And the money will be stolen because no contractor can work with that kind of money. He will collect it. The most he will do is go and buy a new SUV, maybe dump his wife and marry another one, and that's it. Finish. Right? Look at the Auditor General's report again. I'm not saying it. Baumia's brother was given a contract that, according to the Auditor General, if they had taken it to tender, it would have cost the nation 9 times less. That's the Auditor General's determination, not mine. And yet Baumia tells us he's not corrupt. Does Baumia not know that his brother was given a sole source contract? What did the AKUFO-ADDO say about sole sourcing?
How do you know if the vice president is aware? Oh. His brother is a business. He's a businessman.
Are you a child?
No, the brother's a
how
businessman.
Did his brother?
He's a big man.
How did his brother go and collect that contract from Cocoa Board? You know something? I don't even have to doubt that he knows. I'm giving you an ironclad guarantee that he knows. Well, if he doesn't know, I've told him. Has he not read the audit report? Why hasn't he sent a special prosecutor after his brother? And the people who gave him the contract. If it was me, would I not have been arrested by now? We live in a country where the Deputy Minister of Finance was seen on TV collecting bribes. What has happened? We were told that he hasn't done anything wrong. Am I lying? Isn't that what the special prosecutor said? All the things I'm telling you now, has anybody disputed any of them? But you see, look no further than the promise they made to God. They made a promise to God that they will build a cathedral. What is there now? There's a hole there. If you can't keep the promise to God, why should man vote for you? The person who is supposed to be supervising the project, he himself, he has 2 names. So if God comes to do site inspection, who is he going to call? Is he going to call Kuti Boati, or who is he going to call? The project that was made in remembrance of what God has done. We were asked in this country to stand aside so that if somebody fulfills a private commitment, covenant with his God. Of course, they use taxpayers' money that you and I have paid. Me, my promise to God is that I'll pray to him every day if I find my toothbrush. For me, that's enough. AKUFO-ADDO took taxpayers' money to put that hole down there. Whilst they were doing it, let's not forget that they destroyed people's property. As we speak today, they haven't paid the people. You know that some of them are in court. Right? But there's a hole there. And the person superintending the secretariat himself is a walking criminal because he has two names. If you and I had two Ghana cards, we will not have been arrested. He was actually given a diplomatic passport by a foreign minister who now wants to run away from what they've done at the foreign ministry, and she now wants to go and become Commonwealth General Secretary. So, let me tell you what, I could take the next 2 hours of this program, and I can tell you detail after detail after detail which cannot be contested. That holds testament and is a monument to the 7+ years of criminal negligence and delinquency that has gone on in this country. Do you remember we will never go to the IMF? We are a proud nation. Where are we now? Tell me where we are now. And what was the excuse? That it was Tekbe who put this country in a bad way. So 7.5 years after Tekbe left, you went to IMF. We were in this country when our debt was mortgaged to a private company in the US. And the finance minister and his deputy collected commissions from the debt they mortgaged. Not my words. The finance minister's own words in parliament. That he made over 150 million cedis of the debt that they had procured for us. Who does that?
It's Data Bank, not the finance minister.
Who owns Data Bank?
He doesn't own
it. Do I own Data Bank? Or does my grandmother own Data Bank? Go and check who Ken, please, who owns Data Bank? Has the shareholding changed? You see, let's not get it twisted. My brother Kofi sitting here. Unfortunately, during the times when people like him should have been given the wherewithal to hold proper places in this country, in this administration, they didn't do it. They are now sending him out to come and defend the draws that they have done. So I wouldn't like his job. He's somebody, like I said, like he said, we've known each other, we speak, okay? They've wheeled them in to come and defend when the people who caused the problem themselves are nowhere to be found. On this program today, I would have liked Oforiatta or Tausel Dubois to be sitting there so that I can tell them what they have done.
Yeah.
How? When I was chief executive of Free Zones, I used to deal with a lot of investors. If I had been seen on TV attempting to collect bribes, what would have happened in this country? If AKUFO-ADDO had been seen on TV attempting to collect bribes, what would have happened? What have they done? Nothing. Today we are being told that we'll go to the post and we will use indelible ink. You know why? Because the people that run the electoral commission, they say they themselves, they build monstrous hotels and monstrous properties in cantonments. So they too, they have a franchise to defend. So we should go and vote without indelible ink, so that when we finish, they can sit in some MPP chairman's house and go around the table voting a million times. When they finish, they come and tell us that wherever east, right, in the Ashanti region, that they had 100% turnout. Because we are stupid.
Could you allow to move to my next?
These people, Whether they reshuffle, they shuffle, they flash, reflash, it is time to go. End of story. It is time to go. There comes a time, that passage in Ecclesiastes, there's a time for everything. There's a time to come and there's a time to go. The time to go has come.
Okay. Kujo, thank you very much. Kujo Chumbuafu is the former Chief Executive Officer. Hello, Mr. Franklin Kujo.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Mr. Franklin Kujo.
Right.
Thank you very much for your time.
Right. Good morning to my good brother Kojo and Kofi.
Right.
And is that Joe Jackson in the studio? I think I
Yes,
caught the picture.
we call him the Big J.
Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Frank.
Yeah, I think he turned
Right.
50 yesterday.
Well,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's still a small boy.
Frank, I was just saying that you turned 50 yesterday. I'm not even sure if the number is correct.
Oh, no. That's wrong, actually. I'm 48.
Oh, okay. Anyway, happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday.
Thank
Wish
you
you
very much. Thank you
God's
so
guidance
much.
and blessings. Anyway, so now listen, frankly, I've been listening to your public pronouncements and commentary on this reshuffle, and for you seem to suggest that any reshuffle that is not tied to the reduction in numbers, and I'm talking about the ministerial numbers, is a useless venture, or it's a useless exercise. Help us appreciate where you're coming from.
Well, maybe I have another one. If it is not tied to an addition to the value of the economy,
Okay.
probably not needed. But I think on the first one is really apt. And I think the times in which we find ourselves, the conversation has moved on from just changing personnel. Because my good friend AKUFO-ADDO spent 7 good years, if not 8, to actually do nothing. There were a few times he moved 1 or 2 persons, but substantially nothing. So the skill set that he started with virtually is almost the same skill set that he still has right now. So the point is, if you were really going to reshuffle and if you were going to make any significant impact, it should have led to the reduction in numbers from the current 86 ministers. Maybe if we are lucky to probably 70. That's hoping against hope really with my good friend AKUFO-ADDO. But I think that would have sent certain signals to people that, when Dr. Bawumia suggests that even though he's his own person and his own vision, that he suggests that he could do 50, maybe yes. Well, AKUFO-ADDO probably has shown the way. But of course, I'm not within their camp, so I possibly would also think that the president decided he was not going to reduce the numbers or realign ministries so that Bawumia can be his own man and do 50. By the way, we want to see that 50. What 50? Not necessarily names. We'll ask for names at some point, but we want to see what exactly will go into that 50, because it also means you need to do some realignment measures and probably cut off institutions like the railway. I don't even understand why we have a railway ministry. What exactly does it do? Anyway, apart from wasting time and money, I seriously think that we would like to see all of that. And even John Mahama as well. At some point, we need to know what the 60 ministers is promised would look like. So where we are right now is crunch time. It's no longer a change of personnel. And in fact, you've done all the assessment already. What are these ministers really coming to do? 5 months, probably 3 months of active work. For those of them who are even new, that's probably doing nothing because they're just going to settle in the job. And the rationale for changing some of them was a bit also wavy, hazy. I had my good friend, the former Deputy Energy Minister.
Okay.
Sorry?
Yeah, the former Deputy Energy Minister.
Yeah.
Ejapa Mensah, yes.
Ejapa Mensah was asked on Sister Network 2 days ago, I think, and why he thought he was being changed or moved. Well, obviously, he said he believes it's a competent pair of heads and hands, which I totally believe. I like Ejapa Mensah very well, and I think he's an excellent gentleman. But then he said something else which got me quite amused. That, after speaking to the president thought in the interest of regional balance. And I said, what the hell? Regional balance to just move somebody from the energy ministry? Why I think it's actually much more productive So a ministry that is now is completely going to be at sea, because this is a totally new ministry. It's going to spend time, and I don't know. So by the time he's even settling in, elections are upon us, and he needs to go and prosecute an election.
Right.
So I don't know some of the rationale. Of course, we heard about the local boy who may have had all the dexterity, the skill set, and all of that. But how much can he do within a couple of months? Maybe he could fast track this whole policy of shipping our trained nurses and medical personnel abroad in exchange for hard cash or in exchange for some further training, which is something he's been speaking about lately. But then that's government policy, really. It's not really just a health ministry policy. So I struggle. I would have thought that if it was for the purposes of just maintaining the same numbers, maybe those who have been chucked out, maybe with the exception of the finance minister, who everybody really wanted his head ahead, maybe the rest would have been left there, because they are not really going to run for the next. They're not going to contest the next elections. Ajimamenu, I don't think was going to contest. I don't think. You see, the local government minister, a number of these ministers were not really going to contest at all. So because then they would have, done proper handing over to the next government. You understand? So that it's not as if these guys are going to be at sea when the time comes. Oh, it's not me. It is the former minister. The complete shambolic processes. I mean, I don't even understand what goes into this type of arrangements. But I thought that you should be thinking legacy. You should be thinking handing over. So they don't bring new people who probably wouldn't know. But you would have thought that even those who are already ministers will settle in quite well. It would be difficult. My good friend, information minister, may sweet talk everybody into thinking that he's doing a whole lot of good work. But he needs to settle and understand what has gone on. If it is a rent allowance, something that never really supported, I don't even know how that. I think those things are just crotchety campaigns used to just support party food soldiers. I don't see why you should be having rent allowance, because I don't benefit. It doesn't benefit me in any way. You should do policies that benefit everybody anyway. In any case, is he going to change the rent allowance policy, or is he going to? I don't know what he's going to reorder that ministry that to change anything.
Well, he says his focus. He says his focus is going to be on the Saglemi housing, and also to see how best he can roll out some affordable housing projects. That's for him is going to be his focus.
Is that what he said?
Yes, that's what he said.
You mean he's going to get Saglemi back on track?
Yes, he's going to get Saglemi back on track. It's going to be one of his main focus.
He'll do that within 3 months. Anyway, less miracles happen. I'm not saying that nothing at all would happen, but maybe he has a better policy towards Saglemi, by the way. And Saglemi is an anathema, really. It's a clear case of wanton wastage of the government under the aegis of fighting corruption. I mean, let me not get started. But look, I think seriously speaking, this whole reshuffle thing has zero value to the economy. And I said, and I keep saying, the president probably would have served us better if we had kept the ministers, especially those who are not going to contest the next elections again, and all of that. Some people have said, it's also because it's to give a new lease of life to what new lease of life? What are they coming to do? By their young blood, they would invigorate so much power in the ministry that all of a sudden you start seeing magical buildings around. Or I don't even understand what that means. Right. Unless, of course, it means something else. And I don't do vested interest analysis when it comes to whether people are running war chests to run campaigns or not. Those ones I hand up because I'm never competent to discuss that. And I don't like questioning people's motives. But as far as these ministerial appointments or reshuffle is concerned, it's a complete waste of our time. Does not need that. And by the way, on the finance minister, who I thought, and I made, some people have asked me questions as to how I came to the conclusion that he'll probably be the Don, or probably have been given a much bigger role than the finance ministry.
But that information is yet to be totally validated. Never mind that it came from asasefm.com. But because we're also picking some other information that perhaps, and just perhaps, because we don't even know whether the finance minister has actually accepted that new portfolio or that new position or not. We've just heard that the president intends to hand, that position to him. But whether he's going to accept it or not, that's an entirely different matter.
Well, what I also know is that it's most likely the case. So,
so what you know, hold on, Franklin. What you know, as a matter of fact, is that the finance minister has accepted it, and it's only a matter of time. That information is going to be duly communicated.
I haven't said it's accepted. I've said that position has been created. It's been created, and so it's a reality. So whether he accepts it is another matter. But even if he doesn't accept it, it tells you what the president had in store, which means that he wanted him to be not just an advisor. And by the way, he's competent so much to advise on the economy, especially once he's had the experience of running an economy such as ours, and then had the issues he had. So he's very competent to do that. I think the other point about the international investment as a special envoy, national investment and capital markets, was a bit curious. But again, these are well within his means, his expertise to do. In fact, those are actually his expertise. The problem Ken had was that his private expertise did not marry public policy, public politics, which is essentially what's happened in this case. So, there was a bit that thought there was an voracious appetite for the market without necessarily thinking how to fill the holes. So all these people are interested in balancing books, borrowing against debts, and then borrowing and borrowing. If you are trained that way, that's what you do. But don't forget, he wanted to float a 50 billion century bond. You remember? Yeah. So there's that appetite to do big things, but not necessarily when it comes to public politics, because that's where. Anyway, that's where you need to balance things properly. And I think he didn't do that well at all.
Okay.
Having said that, I think that, yes, that role is much bigger. Of course, if I had that role, I'd be much happier, because why should I be a minister reading budgets and I get a lot of opprobrium? People insult me. I say I'll go to IMF. People insult me. I say I'll go to IMF. Eventually, I get insulted. I say I'll do 11. I do 11. Why would I do that? I'd rather sit behind and then make sure that I move, be on the chessboard and do all the things I can do and advise and probably make some significant impact. There. So those are my comments.
But frankly, here's the thing. When those of you who called for the finance minister to be kicked out or to be given the exit, for somebody else to take over because the economy had tanked, the economy had gone south, we all know where we are. I think the import of what that call was to get the finance minister to be very far off from anything that has to do with Ghana's economy and finance. So if you have a situation where the finance minister has been essentially reshuffled, as in he's only been taken away from one finance and economic portfolio to another, arguably a higher pedestal. Like we say in our local parlance here, did we go or did we come? I mean, nobody is questioning his competencies in the area of investment banking, because that's what Data Bank actually does. So I don't know where you stand on this. Do you think that indeed this is the case, we can actually confirm unambiguously that the finance minister has actually been given this new portfolio? What does that say? I mean, how does that mean to persons like you who feel that the finance minister should have been given the sack a long time ago?
Well, to be fair, when you fail, you have still of good use, because what it means is we've all failed in one part of our lives. While we are growing, and we use those as lessons, right? So once you fail, you are useful as well. So the president finds him useful in advising against pitfalls that he navigated. And so maybe that's why we probably need him as an economic advisor. I think the issue about the special envoy is where the real issue really lies. He's not finance minister, but when it comes to international investments, well, then he would be the go-to person. And I keep saying that my crude explanation or crude understanding of that is essentially saying he's even going to be much bigger than the GIPC people and probably bigger than the finance ministry, because when you are such a special envoy international development, what it means essentially in this current dispensation actually means that whatever deals we are going to have, discuss or whatever, you probably be a fly on the wall or at least have a say. And we can't fault him at all because he has that expertise. The question really is whether that decision, that power that he now has, would still factor in when it comes to some of the economic decisions that we make in the country. It's a chicken and egg situation. So I still think a part of me feels that, yes, he has that expertise and he needs to do those. But for the optics, those who feel that, well, look, this guy helped run the economy aground, never mind COVID and whatever they call it, but he's still lacking in there. A part of me says, well, let him be there and be given advice, but he should never have so much power so that can eclipse what the current ministry at the Minister of Finance is doing, probably even investments. But hey, the president knows better, which is why it is important that we expected the president to have given reasons, and maybe you give reasons when he's giving them the official, what do they call it, when they are being officially adored. Because I remember the last time he inaugurated his ministers, he gave reasons for why he was appointing each and every member of his government at the time. So let's hope that maybe this explanation will come. But as far as the numbers are concerned, no reduction. And as far as the whole reshuffle itself is concerned, zero value to the economy, absolutely zero. If it was aimed at changing Ghanaian hearts or affecting our hearts, I'm not sure it did at all. I'm not sure it did.
I see. Maybe I've got some good news for you, because when you look at the current crop of ministers who have now been appointed, never mind, of course, pursuant or subject to parliamentary approval, they look very youthful. You don't think they're going to inject some vibrancy, some vigor, some liveliness, some action into the various portfolios that they have been thrusted into? Or you don't see that happening?
So I don't think they're going to run 100-meter races or 4x4 relays at those ministries. First of all, I think that's completely, it's not as if these persons, maybe you bought the Kool-Aid the General Secretary sold to you, right? That some of these people are tired and so they should be retired. When I saw the former Interior Minister now boogieing and dancing and chilling, I didn't think that guy could not run a 100-meter race if it was the case that we were going to run races at those ministries. Really? No, not at all. I saw him do the boogie dance, and he was doing the word has
you mean Asopo? You know, he was doing Asopo.
He was dancing to a particular song whose tree I don't like to pronounce because it has all these images of I won't pronounce it, but he was doing the dance according to those lyrics, and I loved him for that. And he also did the Bob Marley, by the way, and all of that. And when I saw that man, you can't say that man would not have experience on the 100-meter race course than somebody than the current minister, right? Who by nature is endowed. I mean, if it was the case that it was about youth and all of that, he would definitely run past him, wouldn't he? But having said that, this whole thing about youthfulness, look, let's not reduce governance to that whole thing. Because you have policies you're going to run with. It takes a lot of dexterity, skills, and maybe we may be jumping the gun. You never know. Maybe some of the ministers will come and say, okay, look, instead of giving Agenda 111 at the health ministry, instead of doing 3 in certain regions, let's do some here. Either way, I don't see how efficiency is gained by you being youthful. Of course, I can understand that if you're Joe Biden, then cleverly you'll be forgetting all kinds of things. That's different. But between those who are chucked out and those who are coming in, I'd actually be much more worried than giving somebody the opportunity to come and do 3-4 months of internships when there are serious issues about the country to run. And after that, I'd rather maintain those old guys who were there to see you through the 3, 4, 5, 6 months, because then they would have institutional memory. So then when it comes to the handing over, they will not say, oh, Massa, wait there, I'm a former minister, no. Complete mismatch. That's not governance. That's just like doing pilolo.
Right. All right, Mr. Franklin Kujo, thank you very much. I know you have to leave us so you can join some other activity elsewhere. I want to thank you very much for your time. Have a great day, sir. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong will join us. He is a political scientist and a CDD. We're having a very, very interesting conversation about the president's reshuffle. The president this week has undertaken some sweeping reforms in his cabinet, where he's moved certain persons around and some persons he's asked them to go home, and so on. Clearly, what you can tell is that the president wants some vibrancy and some energy in his government, even though some disagree, because you can tell that these guys are largely very youthful. It's a youthful, it will be a youthful government, of course, after Parliament has actually approved them. There's even a big debate as to whether those, because if you read the wording of the statement that came following the decisions that the president has, the president's decision, it says their positions have been revoked. Okay, so once you say somebody's position has been revoked, it means that the person doesn't have any job, the person is unemployed. Now, if you want to reappoint the person would have to go through the necessary legal protocol in order for the person to be, and that's the argument that the honourable member for the, I think it's North Dai, I think so, Honourable Dafia Makbo. Yes. His argument is that, look, once you say the person's appointment has been revoked, then if you want to reappoint the person has to go to Parliament. So you can't say Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam Anta is a Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. You're just going to ship him to the Finance Minister without necessarily going through Parliament. So those are some of the issues that have come up. But that's a legal argument that I'm sure will continue. We'll see how that goes. In fact, he has threatened that if the necessary due diligence is not done, he'll go to court and slap an injunction on the vetting of those 5 ministers. In fact, those ministerial nominees. So we'll see how that pans out. But for now, we're looking at whether indeed the ministerial reshuffle, whether it's important, why now, and whether it would make any change at all. Mr. Joe Jackson is here. Mr. Kofi Tonto is also here. Mr. Joe Jackson is the CEO of Dalex Finance. Kofi Tonto is a government spokesperson. Kofi, the reason I don't want to bring you in now, because I want you to aggregate some of the reactions that I've greeted, and then you can answer most of the issues that have been raised. So I'll start with Mr. Joe Jackson. Mr. Joe Jackson, I'll ask you the same question. What was your immediate reaction when you heard about the reshuffle? For you, were there any bright spots in there that you'd want to commend the president for? You think that's a totally useless exercise? As Mr. Franklin Kujo has said, once there's no reduction in the size of government.
Listen, my first reaction was, so what?
Really?
Yeah, who cares?
It's much ado about nothing?
Who cares? And you see, let's not forget one thing, right? A lot of us have been calling for a reduction in government.
Right.
Now we are acting as if that call for reduction in government doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
If it didn't matter, would the presidential candidate for the NDC say, I'll have 60 ministers?
Yes. And then you have
Would the presidential candidate for the MPP now it's 50. At the rate you're going, it's like an auction.
Right.
Very soon we'll end up with 10.
We haven't heard from Alan. The butterfly.
But listen, we forget that was a primary issue at stake.
Right. Size of government.
Size of government. The second thing was that a lot of people wanted the head of the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta.
Okay.
Because they felt they wanted someone to be held responsible for the mess that the economy was in.
Right.
But put these two issues aside, and not that we're putting them aside. Those are the big issues.
Okay.
Why do you reshuffle? I want an infusion of energy, right? I want new ideas coming up. I want to improve performance, right? I want to replace inefficient, moribund, laggard ministers with new ones. On the surface, you may say they are young, right? But because the time is so short, My initial reaction was, so what? My considered reaction is that it's actually going to be counterproductive. And why? Yes, and why do I say so? You've got 9 months to an election. The election is on the 7th
of
December. Today is the 17th
of February.
Right? 9 months plus a few days. 2 weeks, give or take.
Yeah.
Why would you, at this time, with the economy facing so many risks in various issues, with our country being so broke, there's no money for anything.
But isn't that the reason more that you need a new lease of life?
No, so you move the efficient ministers.
Yes.
You move the efficient ministers and add to their portfolios so that they can get things done.
So you're talking about measures.
Yes. You don't introduce
collapsing some ministers.
Yes. You don't introduce new ministers who are now going to have to settle in. You know even how long it takes for him to know his team of technocrats and build a team.
Dr. Mohammed Amin Manta, he's already a minister of state at the finance ministry.
This issue.
Okay, that's fine.
That's separate.
I'm saying that in making the argument, I just want us to know that in some instances the person may not have to.
Good.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. But in most cases, that's not saying. In most cases,
they are going to be anything up to. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the
4 months. They will need about 4 months to settle in.
Pardon?
You're saying they will need about 4 months to settle in?
At least 90 days.
90 days. So we're talking 3 months.
To settle in.
Yeah.
Look at the papers. Remember, these are people who they are in parliament.
True.
They have parliamentary duties to perform.
True. Ken didn't have a parliamentary duty to perform.
Thank you.
And even that we had issues.
Now
you have a substantive minister who was an MP in a very difficult seat actually, because Karaga is a traditional NDC seat.
Worse than that.
Yeah.
He has to go and defend his seat across the country.
True.
It's not like his seat is in Osu.
True. He needs to trek the northern region every weekend. Sometimes twice in a week.
Yes. So when you think about it carefully, then you start to ask questions. Wait. Not only did I not care initially, but just maybe this whole thing is actually going to be counterproductive.
Yeah.
And that we could end up with a situation where there's even more chaos in the few months left before the election.
What will be the source of that chaos?
Ministers not at post.
Okay.
Ministers not in parliament.
Right.
Ministers campaigning, running across. Remember, these same ministers, some of them may even be called upon to join the presidential candidate in his campaign travel.
That's true.
If these are the most energetic people in the party, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And if these are not magicians at time management, couldn't it end up being counterproductive?
I get that.
So, admittedly, my first reaction was indifference. But on considered thought, are we not cutting our
nose to spite our
face? That having waited so long, if you come back to me today and ask me, should there be a reshuffle? Maybe I should say, merge the ministries. Look at your ministers who are strongest, most energetic. Maybe upgrade a few deputy ministers and let's get going. But this wholesale change of, over 50% of them are first-time ministers.
Yeah.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
But this is the first time defending a seat.
True.
This is the first time defending a seat. When they campaigned the first time, all they had to do was to turn up every week and just focus on getting elected. Mm-hmm. This time, there's so many considerations coming in.
It's tough.
I wouldn't like to be. It's a big ask.
Yeah.
It's a huge ask. And it's something that I dare say it's so late, it is counterproductive.
You don't agree with those who say better late than never?
Not
because
in every
if this
case.
administration had ended without any reshuffle, I'm sure would have been back here to say, unbelievable. The man went 8 years without undertaking any sweeping
So let me ask you,
changes.
so we could do a reshuffle does it mean we can do a reshuffle a month to
He
time?
sits at the top and has a clear idea of what exactly he wants to do. I mean, I'm sure that
But
it's
it
all
is
in line with a certain
all right
strategy.
to criticize him. Didn't we start calling for a reshuffle how long ago? Didn't we start calling
But
for a
the
reduction
president at the time did not think that it was a good time to reshuffle.
That's fine.
Based on what he wants to achieve.
But that's fine. So we tell him now that Honorable Nana Addo AKUFO-ADDO,
Even His Excellency.
His Excellency Nada,
AKUFO-ADDO.
I don't think at this time, I think that if
It's a little too late.
It's a bit too late. And there's something like being too late. And that's why I say it is counterproductive. And that is admittedly after careful thought. You're making a big ask. Listen, let's take the Minister of Finance, Dr. Amin Adam. You ask me, first class economist.
Yeah.
First class economist, not just a first class economist, with a developmental economist background.
True.
Right? From his background, I would say he would come with some experience in looking at the vulnerable, looking at the disadvantaged, looking at those who are really being hammered by the current economic situation. Because he's worked for Oxfam. He's done work for DFID. He's done work for multiple agencies. 2 years ago, if you had made the same announcement, I'll look at his CV and experience and I'll start jumping. Hey, maybe. Hey, we're going. And I'll balance that against a Minister of Finance who admittedly came solely from the private sector and an investment banking episode, for whom we might say doesn't have the natural inclination and experience to see things from the bottom of the pyramid. And we've seen so many reversals of taxes, etc. Because when they hit the road, the pushback is so fierce, they have to go back. Maybe Ibrahim Adam will not be there. Maybe we have to agree he's a fine gentleman. Fine gentleman, has a good history in parliament, can build more consensus than. We have to admit that our Minister of Finance has been divisive. He's had to go to parliament to defend himself. Dr. Amin Adam may, because he sits in parliament and has sat on critical committees, may be even able to bring more consensus in a parliament that is so finely balanced.
But remember what the Vice President has said. Everything you do must be subject to the approval of the President, or subject to the approval of the Cabinet.
I'm just saying that in his case.
So it won't matter. See, the thing is, look, you listen to Dr. Mahmoud Bamia. It won't matter who you are and what you represent.
It does.
It comes down to what the President wants. Finish. Even when it comes to who to pay or who not to pay.
Sorry.
Yes.
So you want to tell me the President doesn't listen to anybody?
Well, he does listen, but not
that
everything.
The President won't listen to his Minister of Finance. Why appoint him in the first place?
Well, but does he have to listen?
But Moro, put that one aside. I'm just saying. Let's go back to this reshuffle.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Had this happened 2 years ago,
yes,
right, would have looked at Dr. Amin Adam and would have been saying, positive choice, can deliver something, can make a difference.
But unfortunately, you can't say the same now.
Listen, is he going to present a new budget? No. All he's going to do is to shepherd this current budget and just make sure we get to the 7th of December.
But he can go to Parliament and ask for supplementary budgets.
Yeah. At the 7th of December, when regimes change, the whole game will change.
Right.
So, listen, the one thing we are sure of is come 7th of December, His Excellency Nana AKUFO-ADDO will not be
President.
No, he will not be the President-elect.
Sorry, President-elect, absolutely.
He will not be the President. He will still be the President,
absolutely.
But he will not be the President-elect.
Yes, there will be a President-elect.
There will be a President-elect.
Plus a sitting President.
Yes. So the situation will change. The dynamics will change. So I'm just saying that, listen, listen, 2 years ago, had you given me the same infusion of energy, would have been clapping. Would have been clapping. Some of the people being mentioned here, we love them. We think they're good guys. Japa Mesa. I have a
Dr. Okoboy.
Dr. Okoboy. They are full of energy.
Yeah. But Japan Mesa to tourism. I mean, that's what.
That's another question. Why take a Japan Mesa to tourism?
I was a bit surprised.
Yes, he's not going to settle in. Admittedly, he has massive intellectual powers, but it's still a big ask. He's defending a seat.
Right.
And not an easy seat in a climate where we all have to admit that if you're an MPP MP in this current climate, it's already tough. You see, let's not lie to ourselves. Let's not act as if it's going to be easy and smooth sailing for the MPP.
True.
The natural inclination of the Ghanaian public is to punish the MPP for the mess we are in now, for the pain they feel. That would be for any government that is in power in a time of economic crisis.
So it's going to be a referendum on the MPP.
Yes,
not
and it's
necessarily.
going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
If you're going to see majorities reduced, you're going to see people not turning up to vote, go to parliament, come back, go to the ministry, come back.
That's a tough one. Let me also say that I have Dr. John Osai Kwapong. He's a political scientist and also a fellow of the CDD Ghana. Doc, let me just give you a wave so that our viewers know that you're on, whilst I get preliminary reactions and responses from my very good friend Kofi Tonto. Doc, good morning. Hello, good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Moro.
Yes, good
morning, Moro. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and it's good to have you join this conversation. We're always happy to have you. I mean, you know, we like your contributions and submissions. So I'm gonna go to Mr. Kofi Tonto, and then I'll come back to you, sir.
Please say hello to Kofi for me.
Well, he's giving me the authority and the power to say hello back to you. Yes. Anyway, Kofi, so listen. I mean, I don't need to repeat anything. You've heard some of the reactions from Kojo. Kojo decided to go on a different tirade, or they wanted to go on a tirade. He wasn't too, particularly interested in the reshuffle. He says for him, there are major issues that he needs to raise about this government. He's done that. You've heard Mr. Joe Jackson, who's also said, this is much ado about nothing, and so on and so forth. I'm sure you've picked up all kinds of reactions. What do you have to say about your own feelings about what generally has been the response of Ghanaians in general about this, reshuffle?
Okay.
And also, what are you picking up in terms of really what could have informed the president's thinking, to do a reshuffle now,
okay. So a very good morning to you, to Senior Joe Jackson, and then to John Kwapong.
Yeah.
Again, a very good friend.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Actually, maybe I can confess.
Okay.
When I have some questions, on some policy issues, he's one of the people that
your go-to person. Oh, I see.
To educate me on.
Just like teacher John.
Oh, yeah. To educate me.
Right.
So if you credit me for communication, he's one of the people that I go to for education on certain topics.
Right.
Because to be a good communicator,
is
to first admit that you don't know everything.
Absolutely.
And so when you don't know, you quickly learn.
Right.
Learn from the right people.
Absolutely.
To complement what you also know.
True.
And then last week something happened on TV3 where a friend, Edem Abana, called Mahmoud Bawumia useless. And then, interestingly, the person who was speaking for MPP asked the host, you heard Edem call Dr. Bawumia useless?
So, yeah.
And then the host said yes. And then he said, but you didn't say anything about it. And then he said, well, true. Then the MPP guy said, okay, so I'm going to use the same word
for your candidate
for the NDC candidate. And then he started.
Ouch.
You see, Kojo sat here and at exactly 8:32 a.m. asked if Bawumia was drunk.
Yeah, so that was unfortunate.
You see, it's become the strategy of the NDC to use vitriol, invectives, as a way of hitting hard at Bawumia. So it's a deliberate strategy.
Right.
Use insults, attacks, go at him. It's quite unfortunate because for me, that strategy ought to change. You see Sam George do it, you see Sami Jamfi do it, you see Eduji do it, Kojo just did it. We have to move away from that and really focus on the issues
and ideas.
And then the second strategy they've adopted, you see, all of a sudden they are looking for corruption cases against Bawumia. Just last week, they re-engineered the PDS issue and made the PDS issue about Bawumia.
Right.
And now they've come up with another one on roads, etc. So you see a group of people clutching at straws, looking for every debt. And then the General Secretary of the NDC went to the northern sector and made very derogatory comments. Yes, derogatory comments about Bawumia, also there, to the point that some chiefs had to correct him.
Right.
So, Senior Joe Jackson, you people are the intermediaries, the arbiters. So we will plead with you and John Kwapong,
sanitize the space,
to really begin to ask questions about the approach of the NDC. Because you see, Ghanaians are looking for leadership. They are not looking for people who can insult the most. They are looking for leadership. So if you claim to be the right person to lead Ghana, offer the alternative. Not insults, not attacks, not vitriol, not invectives. So we are really counting on the civil society, etc., to come in. Because you see, Fifi Kwete, for 3 times in a row, has been making tribalistic comments. Nobody has questioned him. Not civil society. And John Kwapong is here. They are the democracy people. John, you people are the democracy people. None of you. You've said nothing about a general secretary saying that people in Volta region reject the MPP, teach your children to be NDC. And all manner of tribalistic comments. Nothing is being said. Do you know why that is dangerous? It is dangerous because we are now going to elect a group of people who are going to entrench a new philosophy. And then we'll be back here debating it.
Right.
That why have we become so tribalistic? And it will be a topical issue. I'll wake up in the morning, Senior will wake up in the morning, and we'll come and discuss why our nation is becoming tribalistic. Maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Right.
Now, Kojo, and I'll come to your question. Kojo lamented.
Before you go ahead with Kojo lamented, it's 0249-155. Can you imagine? I've been enjoying the show to the point where I've forgotten to advertise the phone line. It's 0249-155-646. Actually, the WhatsApp line. Please don't call the line. Just send us your view. Let us know what you think about what we are talking about today. 0249 155-646. 0249 155-646. That's the WhatsApp line. Please send us. Please join the discussion via with that particular WhatsApp line. Yes, you said Kojo lamented. Yes,
Kojo lamented about corruption issues.
Yeah,
and all manner of issues. You know, I wouldn't want to go into things that happened at free zones when he was there. I wouldn't want to go into it for now. At the right time, we may. He lamented about corruption. And of course, largely we are all against corruption. But you see, I want to give you a quick analogy. I have a house. I've built a nice house. In the house, I have a chair, I have a TV, etc. Then somebody who tried to go to government, where we register your property, etc., to steal my house, comes to me to lament that, oh, Moro went to your house to steal your chair, to steal your TV. You should do something about it. Kick Moro out. But he forgot to tell you that he, the person who was lamenting about Moro stealing a chair and a TV, actually tried to steal the house. The actual house, which the TV sits in. You, Kojo. And I'm so sad he left. You were part of a government that tried to steal the house. Why do I say that? I'll read a story to you. Supreme Court cancels Ibrahim Mohammed's bauxite contract. The Supreme Court yesterday ruled, and this I'm reading from Daily Guide. The Supreme Court yesterday ruled that the grant of 3 mining leases in favor of Eston Cubic, the company belonging to Ibrahim Mahama, younger brother of former President Mahama, is null, void, and of no effect. It has therefore cancelled the mining lease granted Ibrahim to mine bauxite in the Nyinahini forest and in the Atiwa in Ponua district of the Ashanti region. The lease was granted Ibrahim's company on December 29th, 2016, less than a week before his brother exited power. Do you know the value of the bauxite Mahama bequeathed to his brother? $400 billion. That was the estimate people like Theo Champon, etc. came about with. 400 billion. That is 5 times our GDP. 5 times the whole country, Ghana. You came here lamenting that you care for Ghana. But you bequeathed something that is 5 times the size of Ghana. I'm not talking about the properties in Ghana. Or mining, 5 times of it. To one human being. On the 29th of December, 2016, just a week before you left power, and you have the moral turpitude to come and sit here and lament as if you care for Ghana. As if you, the NDC, when you come to power, you are going to be saints. As if we don't know you. As if we don't know that Mahama supervised over 4 years of doom so. Supervised over and confirmed flying to Burkina. Supervised over $10 billion so-called Hope City project. You know, Roland Agambil, the whole issue that came about him, etc. And then I think the JIDA report. Do you know the day Mahama submitted the JIDA report, the white paper, he made it public? The midnight to the Supreme Court ruling on the AKUFO-ADDO's case to the court. I think it was 23rd August 2013 or so. That midnight, just before Atuguba read it, that midnight was when Mahama released the JIDA report. Why? It was strategic. Because he knew the court case, the verdict was going to be topical. And the JIDA report will not be read. Nobody will discuss it. These are the people we are talking about. We are not talking about different human beings. And Mahama is not coming back to power with different people. It is going to be the same people. The Okujeto, the Sam George, the Kojo Chumbuafos, the Ajenim Buatin, the Omane Buames. They are going to be the ones who are going to be fighting for power to become ministers, CEOs, etc. What is he talking about? To pontificate as though you are some saint? But we'll have the right time for that debate. Anyways, let me go to the issue. And then there was even this contradiction that he said, that Bawumia is a continuation of Nana Addo. Then, a few seconds later, Bawumia has disavowed Nana Addo. What are you saying? So the person who's going to be a continuation, that person has rejected Nana Addo. What are you really saying? It doesn't make sense. It is either Bawumia is a continuation or Bawumia is rejected. But you can't have it 2 ways. Don't vote for Bawumia to become the leader of the party. He's going to be a continuation. We vote for Bawumia. Bawumia shares his vision. Oh, Bawumia is rejecting AKUFO-ADDO. Like, really? But anyways, let's come back to the topic at hand. We'll have time for them. And we are going to do it boot for boot, just like Asafo-Adjei did it. If they choose to insult, we'll come after them. We have issues to debate. Mahmoud Bawumia has presented his vision. Which vision nobody has been able to dent even Tokro Bakumpo in it. None of them. It's been over a week. Have you heard any cogent alternative from the NDC? On the vision proposals, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
Except to focus on the tangentials. You are rejecting AKUFO-ADDO. You are mate. Talk about the issues. Because at the end of the day, it is about the issues that Ghanaians will vote on.
Right.
He said he's going to give tax amnesty. He's going to do a flat tax. Oh, what BUN? You didn't know?
Oh, no, I know.
Okay.
I know. I know about it.
So those are the
in fact,
issues.
some of them ask why can't he do it now? So I get it.
He can't do it now because he's not the president.
Okay.
The vice president does not have the powers to grant amnesty.
Right.
Anyways, on the issue of reshuffle,
right,
I agree to an extent of what my senior brother is saying.
Right, but the timing,
that it came a bit
late.
Too late. Many of us felt that it should have been earlier. 2 years earlier, etc. But the bottom line is that we have an executive constitution, I call it. Because the constitution really is about the president and his powers.
Right.
And what he does with his powers. We've bequeathed that much power to him. That we've entrusted our sovereignty into your hands. Fiduciary duties into your hands. So take those decisions. Every 4 years, we'll pass a judgment on you. So the president, in his finite wisdom, feels that although we are just 9 months away, I can inject some degree of newness, creativity, etc., to usher in some level of change.
Right.
And I think it's not bad.
Okay.
If you look at Dakua Newman, a very young woman going to lead gender ministry.
Yeah.
If you look at Collins Adumako Mensah, Akwesi, I forgot my brother's name, Chief, the Menshianov.
Is it Akwesi Akwa?
No. Menshianov.
Oh, Menshianov.
MP. I don't know why it just escaped me.
Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead.
So
I get it.
He's also going to Lance. Collins is going to Energy, etc. Japan Mesa, all of them. Very young people, youthful people. Asenso Kunedu, yes. Asenso Buache is going to Roads, etc. And then equally exciting is Opon Kroma.
Yeah.
Leaving to Works and Housing.
And Asenso going to Roads and Highways. Fati now coming to Information Ministry.
Fati's story, I think, needs to be told.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a young man from Moshizongo.
Yep.
I was classmate with Fati.
Okay.
Yeah, in Bokrum.
Okay.
JHS.
I see.
Then was JSS.
Okay.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
But I didn't know until recently that we found out that we were actually classmates.
Yeah, you go way back.
Way back. So for me, it's very, very
that's
exciting.
a meteoric rise, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Fati, and that's what I'm saying. That
I mean, Deputy Director of Communications, she then became Deputy Information Minister, and all of a sudden she's full
and Fati is very young.
She's actually going to be a member of cabinet.
Yes,
yeah,
very. She's not even 40.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's about 36,
36, about my age.
Yeah, just about,
so I'm very excited for
happy for her.
I was with her yesterday.
Okay.
And I went to see her in office. Very excited for her.
Interesting.
So I think what Senior Joe Jackson is saying is valid.
It's legit.
That the time is short.
Yeah.
So really, we should take the caution to advise our brothers and sisters who've gotten the opportunity to say that let's prove Senior Joe Jackson wrong.
Okay.
By going there to work.
Okay.
You have to be creative.
I get that.
To add value in the shortest time possible. Please, just do your best.
Yeah.
Add the creativity.
Yeah.
Bring all the right people around you. Don't make it like...
whilst at it, somebody has actually sent me a Ghana web story where the second lady is quoted to have actually described the former president as useless and incompetent. They said... Kofi Kototo doesn't have the right to complain about the choice of words. But you see, it doesn't help.
Yeah, see, that person, tell that person to do Ghana Web again.
Yeah.
And tell us when they called President Kufuor a thief.
A thief. All right.
You should do that.
So this culture, it doesn't help us. Yeah, it doesn't help. Wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong. I get that. Kofi, sorry. Let me just do a quick one from there, and then you can wrap up. Right. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. So let me come to you now and get your brief thoughts on this. So what's your reading? I mean, you play in the political science space. What's your reading really into why the president would choose, the 11th hour to make such critical decisions about who goes where and not? Because there's all kinds of theories. What's your theory? What's your reading? What do you think is happening?
Well, if you follow the president closely on this question of reshuffling, he has a very different philosophy from his predecessors who engaged in a number of reshufflings during their time in office. He often would argue for a reshuffling of his government. So that, for me, is one of the main reasons why you've seen him go without a major reshuffle for almost 7 years, in his administration. Now, as to why it was done now, I'm not 100% sure why that was done. That was done now. I know that there's been a few calls once again for a reshuffle. In fact, the general secretary of the party was on record during their end of year, their annual Thanksgiving in December, that it would be helpful if the president would do a reshuffle. So I don't know if maybe internally they were able to, finally convince him that some kind of a reshuffle would help. My other reaction, though, is with the timing, just like, it has come up a few times. The timing in the sense of, I'm not sure with the time left that there's going to be any major policy initiatives, governance initiatives that these quote-unquote new appointees, whether it's really new appointees or they've been moved from one ministry to another, would have to oversee its implementation. I see it more as guiding safely, to the end of this administration, right? So between now and 2025, January 7th, your job is to make sure that whatever policies, programs that we have in place, you would, safely oversee those things and make sure that we are able to, complete our term of office in the manner in which we want to exit office, and then a new administration comes in, be it that of, His Excellency the Vice President or the former president. For me, a real good timing, and I did write about this in my opinion piece today in the Daily Graphic. For me, for CDD Ghana, for me, a good timing would have been either right after the 2020 election, to sort of, inject a new energy going into the second term. But I also understand that we were still in the COVID era and trying to recover from COVID. So I can see why you wouldn't want to rush to really change the team that had been managing, your government through the COVID era. But 2022 for me was an opportune time. And I say that because when the results of Afrobarometer Round 9 2022 came out, it showed quite some sharp declines and a change in the extremely positive perceptions that had been held of the AKUFO-ADDO administration in Round 7, which was in 2017. So for me, that was an excellent time to have done that, because I believe it would have bought the president, or it would have earned him some of the good graces and the good political will that he had in 2017, that I believe by 2022, judging from the results of the Afrobarometer, had taken quite a nosedive. So, in hindsight, or, again, in looking at this reshuffle, I think that would have been a good time to have done it. On the timing question, right? So if you think about some of these appointees who will be running for re-election, who are also members of parliament, come by August, September, you're really into the heat of the election. And I'm just wondering how much of their time and attention would sort of be split, right? They would have to multitask between campaigning for re-election, their legislative duties, as well as their executive duties as well. If they are in a safe seat, then they wouldn't have to really worry much, in terms of being able to win re-election. So that is, generally my take on this reshuffle.
I wanted us to get into some specifics. Unfortunately, time is not our best ally now. So, but I appreciate the general thoughts that you have expressed. I think that for me, it captures, in essence, most of the things that have become a subject of public discussions, and so that's fine. Thank you so very much, Doc, for your time. It's been wonderful having you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I have about let me see. Well, my producer Jesus tells me we have 7 more minutes to go. So what is going to happen is I'm going to just give 3 minutes each to my resource persons to give us, just finalize their thoughts. And then, they can take leave of us. But before that, let me just say that I've got tons of messages to come through. So good morning, viewers. I want NDC to bring alternative policy rather than castigating someone who has been bold to bring his vision and mission for Ghana. Insults will not work this time for any party. We want debate on policies that will move this country forward. No one is a saint, and no party has ever turned Ghana into heaven. This one said MPP was this. This one says this man. Okay, MPP was this the guy not in Ghana? Was this guy not in Ghana when Mahama was president? The insults that was rained on Mahama, corruption charges, and even accused of killing Atamils. This MPP guys. Anyway, this man must be corrected. Mahama never gave Nyine to his brother. The man went through the needed procedure to get that concession, and the party chairman and regional minister came to stop it. Thomas Seydou Nkumase. This was the Hope City project was a private case, so Kofi should stop that dirty politics. Rashid Debbie from Cape Coast. Kamal Amasama Bruni says, I would like to congratulate Honorable Henry Quarter and Honorable Okoboy for their new ministerial positions. Now, this sterling performance on their previous positions give me the absolute confidence that they will be very impactful within the various ministries. They have the proven record, and soon their capabilities will manifest for Ghanaians to see it is possible. Please, is Bamia coming with a different crop of people to govern when he happens to win the election? I'm sure it is the same MPP people who are in government today. The two parties are the same. Mr. Tonto should give us a break. Money from Takrade. Kofi Tonto's you're in trouble. Has begun. He said Kofi Tonto has begun very well by cautioning both Party A and Party B to desist from attacking and insulting personalities. Very laudable idea, but he himself has started talking about the same thing. Kofi Tonto, please speak to the point. He hasn't insulted anybody. He was just reminding us. He was calling memory down memory lane. Sorry. Good morning, Metro TV. Tell Kofi Tonto that if it is about insults in politics, Vice President Bawumia and his wife introduced it when Samira called Mahama useless. Where were you then, Kofi? James Tenga from Nabdam. Aliko, Charles Aliko from Ho says, please let the man who is tackling physical issue there know that we West don't want the MPP again because they took our tax paying money into their pockets without any development projects here in Volta region. And we, the youth, have nothing to do but only farming. And we don't have those who will buy our farming products for us. That's Charles Aliko from Ho. Good morning, Metro TV. Tell Kofi Tonto that if it's about insults in politics, Vice President Mohammed and his wife, okay, I've done that. Good morning, Moro. Please tell the MPP man there. He has now realized now insults in politics is not good. We've heard. So we've heard. Sorry. Ghanaian youth are going back to someone who has a modern way of developing our nation, not the one who has been president before with full of blah, blah, blah. Bahama belongs to the past and Bahama belongs to the future. The attack and lies on him will not watch. Bamia is the better choice. Matilda from Tema says, this reshuffle is simply unnecessary and would rather show MPP the exit from government. We are tired. MPP must go. Good morning. Policy of insult shouldn't be allowed on any day. But this is the same MPP who used the same strategy against John Mahama, insulting him all over. Both MP and NDC should sanitize their communication. And please kindly do a simple comparison of all the presidents in the four republics so we could understand this reshuffling in the last year's elections better. Please, especially NDC Mahama versus MPP Nanado. The NDC are speaking as if similar things didn't happen in 2016. MPP was a guy not in Ghana when Mahama was president. The insults that was rained on him, I've looked at that. Ibrahim Mahama is a qualified manner. He did not use illegal means for the job from Kofi in Brekum. Good morning, Mr. Host. What is the MPP communicator crying about? What didn't they do to Mahama in 2016 and 2020? What is good for Mahama is good for Bamia. We have destroyed our own country with dirty politics. Hypocrisy everywhere. Ghana is dying slowly. The young ones have no future because our leaders have spoiled Ghana. I can't read all. Let me just one more. NDC government should give us alternatives way of running the affairs of state rather than insulting Dr. Bamia. He's coming and is coming. They are just spoiling the name of the MPP candidate to the illiterate. Walanyo Nakotia says newly appointed minister, deputy designator are all fine brains, but I doubt if this injury time replacement have the magical powers to do anything significantly to turn the economy around. The so-called reshuffle is nothing worth for, but a waste when we have just 10 months to the general elections. Those of you whose messages I couldn't read, I beg you. and the chapter, it's just about 20, 30 more. So maybe next week when I come, I'll read them. So, maybe I'll just do a minute. So, in a nutshell, what are you saying?
The reshuffle could actually turn out to be counterproductive.
Okay. All right.
And make things a lot more difficult and chaotic
for the party. But did you see? Did you think Bawumia may have some influence in this in terms of who goes where, or you don't think so?
I don't think so. Okay. It for me, it looks like, to be fair, it looks like somebody sat down, looked at the most exciting MPs, younger MPs, and put them in the position.
Right.
What I think they didn't think of was how they're going to manage to make a difference in this short time.
Okay.
Right? I would say when you look at this crop of MPs, they seem to represent the next generation of MPP leaders.
Right.
So,
okay.
For better or for worse.
I get that.
But I'm worried. I'm really worried. I think it could make things a lot worse.
All right. Kofi?
Yeah, very quickly. You see, President Mahama on December 29th signed a document.
You're back on this issue.
No, because you see, I want to expose the hypocrisy of the NDC. You see how angry they are?
Yes.
President Mahama on December 29th, 2016 signed a lease for his brother's company. In the judgment of President Mahama, he did what was legal. I didn't question the legality of it.
Okay, but it's a question the politics of
it. Now, is the NDC saying that everything AKUFO-ADDO has done, as long as it's legal, it's okay?
Right.
Is that what they are saying?
Right.
That if what AKUFO-ADDO did was legal, he went through the legal process, is no longer an issue? You see the hypocrisy of them?
All right.
And then lastly,
as
far as insults of politics there, in this Ghana, me, I'm a young man of 36 years.
Yeah.
But I've read history.
Right.
They should read history.
Okay.
Samira is a young lady who just came into Ghana politics. And she hasn't insulted anybody.
All right. Okay.
Politics of insult started way before.
Okay. So let me do this. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Kofi Tonto, for your time. He's a government spokesperson. Mr. Joe Jackson is the CEO of Dalex Finance. Dr. John Osai Kwapong is a political scientist and also a fellow CDD Ghana. Let me also say big thanks to Mr. Franklin Kujo, who is the president of Imani Africa. And finally, Mr. Kujo Chumbuafu, who is the former chief executive officer of the Ghana Free Zones Board. My name is AKUFO-ADDO Moro. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure having you here on Inside Pages. Same time next week, Saturday will be here. But also remember that it's Good Afternoon Ghana, Mondays and Wednesdays. Very exciting show. You don't want to miss it. It starts at 2 p.m. and ends at 3 p.m. Watch that tomorrow. I'll be back.